Good morning and welcome back to BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today I'm joined by Ian Matheson for this week's news roundup. So Ian, it's been a busy week. What have we got first?
Well, it certainly has been busy in the last week. Lots of news that will
Yeah.
impact on members' activities. Of course, the big news was DSV announcing that it would be acquiring Schenker, I think for 14.8 billion euros. That's been in the news for most of the year. There's been lots of speculation. It'll be interesting to see how that develops as they integrate the two companies. And I do understand that there is an agreement as part of the contract that the jobs will be protected for at least 2 years as a commitment to that. And it sort of follows as a very interesting report in August by an American bank about potential merger and acquisition activity in the transport and logistics sector. And they're predicting quite a wave of activity for various reasons. And that's an article that will be in the panel at the bottom of this broadcast.
Yeah.
That's well worth a read.
Mm-hmm. And I know mergers and acquisitions was something that we spoke about in our first episode, I think, as well, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah. Also in the headlines this week was the fact that BIFA, along with 72 other organisations, have written to the Secretary of State for Transport urging the government to approve the development consent order for the Lower Thames crossing. I think that's been in planning for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And the fact that BIFA signed that letter is sort of another demonstration of how BIFA lobbies on its members' behalf.
Yeah. And of course, anyone that has experienced the Dartford crossing knows that that's a good call.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Across in the air freight arena, mm-hmm. Fiata issued a statement and provided a lot more advice about the potential negative impacts of the new security measures that are being introduced in Canada and the USA for air cargo that's destined to or transit in either of those countries. BIFA's also put some information about that on its website, and we've mentioned it in previous episodes, but it's definitely well worth a read and catching up on that because it will obviously have an impact.
Yeah, and of course, like the rest of the articles, there will be a link to that in the description as well.
Last week's episode, I mentioned the potential impact of the European Union's entry-exit system. Mm-hmm. And members that are active in the provision of European road freight services should remember that from September the 16th, the German government has introduced much stricter controls at its borders for 6 months. And again, there's significant concerns about possible disruption and indeed whether it is actually feasible to do that. In the ocean freight arena last week, there was a lot of media coverage about the realignment of the major ocean shipping companies' activities, which is going to take place in 2025. And viewers can read a really excellent summary of all those realignments in a publication called Maritime Executive. And again, sorry to repeat myself, but there will be a link to that article in the panel underneath this broadcast, yeah?
Yep. So it sounds like it's been a busy week and there's a lot for our members to think about.
Well, there is. And of course, just to add to that, there's still this rumbling issue in North America where there's no sign of any resolution to the potential dock strike that could happen on the eastern Gulf Coast from the beginning of next month. So, 2 weeks away, it could be problems.
Yeah.
And I'd like to end this episode on a lighter note, but as a thank you really to a chap called Kevin Matthews from Calibra Routex, one of your members, who after last week's episode actually got in touch to ask for some more information about one of the articles that he wanted to pass on to his customers. And it was the one about line of schedule disruption and the delays that are happening at the moment. And the good thing about that is it shows somebody's actually listening to the things I report on a weekly basis. So I was quite pleased to hear that.
Yeah, it's good to hear that our listeners are engaging with what we're telling them as well.
Indeed.
So just on that note, I would like to end this episode by reminding our members that we are constructing a database of our communications and PR contacts within our member companies. So if you would like to be on this list, make sure you get in touch with us. The email address will be below, but it is bifacomms@bifa.org. This has been today's edition of BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information.